I want to, I know that the students are still getting settled, but I'd like to get started. I know the mayor's time is valuable. And I was able to tell the mayor last week that I was a huge fan of his. And that hasn't changed in a week. And we're so happy to have you here. We know your time is valuable. And I want to thank Ms. Miles. Ms. Miles, don't you want to join us on the stage? She's the one that initiated your visit here, and we appreciate it. Thank you so much. This school, Mr. Mayor, is been around for about 20 years. It's small. It's a little over 100 kids, and we're small on purpose because we're very, very close with our families and their extended relatives, and you can only have so many relationships, as you know. So relationship is important for us. And I was also just telling your folks over there that I'm very interested in your father's community school that he started. So if I have any, I'm going to be reading about it because I'm interested in history of ed. So I may be calling on you to maybe clarify some things. Do you know much about his school that he had? You do? Okay, fabulous. All right. Anyway, we're known here for our small size, our open schoolhouse concept. We have mixed age grouping, and we do above grade level work throughout and deal a lot with social issues. So we're going to have some students come up and read some of their poetry called Where I'm From. And we'll start with Timlin.
Hi, again, as Masal said, I'm Timlin. A lot of you know me as Tim. Thanks. Where I'm from. Where I'm from, you ask. I'm from a place. I'm from Newark. Yes, Newark. I'm from a place with a black and blue history, where kids don't learn to fit in with friends. I'm from kids not caring about learning because they see a different life in the streets. Where I'm from, drug dealers are kingpins and brilliant people are nerds. I'm from the air of crime and the horrible smell of death all around. Where I'm from, temptation comes from friends who change you, so choose them wisely. I'm from creativity being hidden, where blacks... Can I just take this out? Makes it much easier for me. Can I just take this thing out? Yes. Makes it much easier. Where I'm from, blacks hate cops for one reason or another. I'm from downtown being their scariest place to be at night. But this does not make up all of my beloved home. I'm not from the Welcome to New York sign. Yet I'm from people like Ras Baraka and others willing to help our great city. I'm from more and more students waiting and willing to get an education. I'm from a beaten down city getting right back up. I'm from good friendships, kids playing and laughing with each other in the streets, and their innocence protected. I'm not done. I'm from working parents conquering the world and defeating the odds for their children. I'm from many boys and girls having good role models now. I'm from eating together with my family, going to church together, and working to make them proud. I'm from good days and good days. So where am I from? I'm from Newark. Let's call it that now because of the bad things, but for the good things as well. Thank you.
Okay, Aud.
Where I'm from. I'm from fatherless children and single mothers, the new hot trend. A place polluted with dreams and goals, all lost and forgotten. A place of peace and serenity, what used to be. A place of prosperity and success, do not dwell on the past. A place of college graduates, unachievable. A place of potential and hope, timeless. I'm from wishing I had a father to hoping I never see him in my life. From dreaming of a career in medicine to being told it's impossible. For violent crimes and shootings, a very frightening and unnecessary daily part of life. I'm from substandard housing, fitting 4 families. From the only way to survive is to make ends, to someday we will get out of this place. Still working hard for that someday. I'm from busy weeks and busier weekends. From catching the #1 bus to downtown, located on the notorious Broad and Market Street, with its many locally owned stores and street vendors. Downtown, center of Newark, with its impossibly organized chaos. What a truly special place it is. What a truly special place.
I'm going to mix it up a little bit. I'm going to have a student ask a question. The student wrote down questions. The students wrote down questions on cards. So, Ms. Rogers, you want to?
Okay, I'm going to pick a question. Let me find my people here. Okay. This is a double question since Aud mentioned Broad and Market Street. So I'm going to ask Mustafa Kaba and Rohan Smith to ask their questions together, and then you can answer it, Mr. Mayor.
What is your vision for the intersection of Broad and Market Street?
What is the partnership between the city and the company who built Teachers Village, aka RBH Group?
I hope you wrote that.
Yes, he did. Right.
There's one more, right?
No, those two together.
Okay, let me stand up. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. So I want to thank your principal for inviting me here, and Hanifa, who I could talk to you about at some other time.
Oh, yes,
you know,
I
as
want to
well.
hear those school stories, Mr. Mayor, yes.
You know, it's a pleasure to be here this morning. I just came from Westside High School. Before there was an announcement I went to, too, before I get to your questions, about Amazon.com, well, Amazon, not .com, Amazon, the company, is moving or building a headquarters outside of where it is, and we're trying to get them to move to Newark. And we just got the backing of the state and the governor to agree that Newark is the best place in New Jersey for Amazon to move its headquarters to, right? So that's a good thing. So in order for those things to happen, when those things happen, we need you young people to go to school, graduate, get advanced degrees, and be a part of the 50,000 jobs that Amazon wants to bring to the new place that they go to, and we pray that that place is Newark. So that's important. So Broad and Market, right? So the first thing, there's something called the Four Corners Project. So Broad and Market has been like that for a very long time. You see at the top is a lot of the spaces are not filled, right? And at the bottom, you see all of the retail that's happening right there. So the Four Corners Project will allow us to, and you see it's just started moving. If you go right across from City Hall, you'll see they're renovating one building like that. So all downtown, they'll begin to develop all around all of the upstairs apartments, all the places, well, I don't call them apartments because they may be apartments, they may be something else, but they're developing all of that, which obviously will affect what's happening in the Four Corners area, Four Corners being Broad and Market, those areas. We're going to repave the entire street, Market Street all the way down by Penn Station, all the way up. And we're going to do the same thing with Broad Street, all the way down from where the intersection takes you off into 78 and the highway, all the way up, all the way down to the north side of Broad Street. We're going to put our little emblem in the middle of it, like we have in front of City Hall, that says City of Newark emblem, and we are Newark on it, so it's going to look fairly pretty, depending on what your idea of pretty looks like. So we're going to make it look nice in that area, and there's going to be a lot of development happening on Broad and Market. And it's interesting that you say, what is our plans with RBH? Because one of the developers, the main developer on the Four Corners project is Ron Bate, who actually is the visionary behind Teachers Village. So he's got a lot of projects happening. He's got a project that we're doing with him on South Orange Avenue, right next to Westside High School. You see a gate around a fence if you're there. There's a lot of property that's abandoned there. He's going to develop that with another group. He's responsible for development that is taking place there. There's probably other projects that he's involved in, I just can't think of off the top of my head, but it's happening, right? And I just want to say, too, that, we got finished speaking at Westside, and one thing that we want to do is begin to change our kids' minds about the way they see themselves, but also the way they see their city. And part of it has got a lot to do with the superstructure, meaning all the ideas and things that people tell you and you see or you feel about your city, about your home, about yourself all of the time. Like, so Channel 12, 4, 7, and 2 kind of beat this negativity on you all the time. And then there's people who even in their opportunity to try to help you, begin to help you from a place of negativity, saying, oh, it's so horrible, we got to make you better. Right? And so we don't want that idea. We want you to realize that Newark is a moving, kind of changing and developing place, and that's because of you, and you have to be involved in that and be a part of that. Your brains, your imagination, all of your sensibilities have to be a part of Newark's growth, its future, and what it needs to become. So I need you to begin thinking about what Newark can be, right? I need you to start imagining that place, right, and figuring out how to develop and create that place that you imagine Newark to be, right, and not a place that you want to escape from, but a place that God has put you to give you the ability to transform. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. And Mr. Mayor, would you like to divulge your special relationship with Ms. Miles?
I don't even know this young girl, right? No. She used to be one of my students.
Yes.
Yeah.
And did she behave herself in class?
She was the best student in the entire school.
Ah. Well, I wonder how many other students that year you say the same thing. But anyway, well, she must have had some good lessons. I know that. Okay, Nawera is going to come up and read her poem.
Hello. I am from missed calls and unheard voicemails. Where I'm from, the only alarm clocks are the sounds of gunshots and drunk teenagers whose parents might be worried sick, but the teenagers obviously don't care. I'm from South 17th Street, where I can see Westside Park from my window. Where I'm from, red and blue are the colors you should avoid if you're in the wrong side of town. I am from the intersection where Newark and Ghana collide. Where I'm from, Springfield Avenue separates the bums and the businessmen. I am from maintaining straight A's to make my mommy proud. Where I'm from, there go to Popo is the word around the streets. I am from achievements and disappointments. Where I'm from, that's not a question I get asked often. I am from Newark, but the Newark way isn't me. The new industrial buildings and high-end apartments, yeah, they're pretty neat. How about those mom and pop shops getting kicked out in defeat? Or those high-end apartments that are supposed to be there for the middle class and low-income residents of Newark, yet the rent ain't cheap. I am from the arms of defeat, people lining up at the Social Security office every morning on my way to school, knowing that my parents were once in that situation. Where I'm from, Newark is a place I call home, the place I wake up to every morning and cozy up to at night, a place where I plan on making a change and becoming a leader, a place where people know us for more than just crime but our true greatness. I am from the future generation of Newark. Thank you.
Okay, Soraya.
I'm from the movement of the downtown I'm from the movement of the busy downtown streets. I'm from cookouts in the driveway. I'm from hush puppies and collard greens. I'm from worrying if my mom's gonna make it home before dark, to having my dad's left leg wounded by a gunshot spark. I'm from my grandmom's house while mom goes to class to provide and me wanting to thrive. I'm from daily trips to Jersey Fried, ready to share a big bucket of chicken at great auntie's place and happy to see everyone's face. I'm from Canary Yellow to Pumpkin to Lil Gina to Redbone. I'm from the back credit zone. I'm from people getting confused when I say get instead of get. I'm from being called white because I'm one of the lightest in my school. I'm from watching people throw away their $1 million education to make a quick buck. Yet I'm also from empowerment and coming together when it counts the most. I'm from community and hope. I'm from making it better for the future generation. It wasn't Beverly Hills, but it made me who I am. It's where I'm from.
Want another question now, Ms. Rogers?
Yes, we have another question. Mohammed has a question for you.
Did your father have ambitions for you? What were they?
Thank you. I just want to get a chance to Al Tariq Ankwe and LeVar over here. These two work in our office. They tour the city with me. LeVar, raise your hand. Let me see this young man with his bow tie on, looking good today. So, yeah, I think my father, like your father, like all fathers, want their children to be successful. You know, want them to be great, want them to do things better than them. More than anything, I think my father wanted me to study. And when I say study, I don't mean it just like in the kind of way that you know it in terms of school study. My father had books all over the house, you know, books in the bathroom, books in the kitchen, like books everywhere where books wouldn't be at. But it was books all over the place. And every time I saw him, he was always in his office writing or reading, right? So I think that he really tried to impress upon me the importance of research, of study, of information, of knowing what you're talking about before you open up your mouth, right? So that's the important thing. I think I got that from my dad, and anything else that he's given me, I think that's been the most important in my success.
Okay, Alpha?
Where I'm from. I am from a cookie in a cookie jar battered and baked to perfection. Where I am from, Native Americans called Lenape ruled Newark peacefully. I am from a place with big dreams and small ambition. Where I am from, strangers greet you and some ignore you. I am from living beings that are evolved from primates. Where I'm from, kids pick friends over parents and foes over friends. I'm from kindness, love, hate, all in one. Where I'm from, mixed feelings is what everyone has. I'm from the sun, which brings heat to the planet. Where I'm from, people would rather be silent than to speak their mind. I'm from math, reading, writing, social studies, and vocabulary, ELA. Where I'm from, I am one of many people with dreams. I'm from places, people, and things that are awesome. Where I'm from, I hang with the right people. I am from Newark, a place where I think that there is hope and dreams to fulfill.
Joyce?
Okay. Where I'm from, people sometimes feel ashamed to admit where they're from. Where I'm from, people tend to focus more on the negative and less on the beauty of our city. Where I'm from, summer marks the end of past pats and preps the way for new ones. Kids are relishing the taste of watermelons and Italian ice while taking a trip down the summer slide at the park. Parents are filling out forms at the YMCA, hoping their mischievous offspring can stay off the corners of stores, streets, and that darkened alleyway. I am from cool orange ices and chlorine blue swimming pools. Where I'm from, autumn awakens the residents and innocent creatures who have been asleep for 2 months. Parents are exulting as they watch their children board the yellow school bus. Adults and couples begin pulling thick wads for the all-American Halloween. A month later, teachers and students at Discovery go home to McCormick gravy and turkeys of butterball. I am from weekly math packets and pumpkin spice everything. Where I'm from, winter illuminates the city in the form of lights and the large evergreens. Young children anxiously await the arrival of snow. The cathedral and small churches await the nativity of their Lord and Savior with candle and prayer services. NJPAC opens its doors to people of diversity and mesmerize them with holiday shows and concerts. I am from roaming winter deer and advent candles. Where I'm from, spring sprouts the beginning of cherry blossom season, and the countdown to summer begins. Students can now store their jackets and cardigans at the back of their disorganized closets. The flowers at Branchbrook Park are blooming. I am from color polo shirts and cherry blossom tree festivals. Where I'm from, deep down inside, everyone is proud to call themselves Norkers. I am from Newark, New Jersey, the Brick City.
Another question, Ms. Rogers?
What was the hardest issue you've had to face as mayor?
It seems like every issue I face is hard as the mayor. There's no easy thing. Sometimes when I think something is going to be easy, it winds up being hard, right? But I'm prepared mostly because I was a principal, right? So I was a principal first, so that's prepared me for hard because it's difficult being a principal. And hats off to all the principals in this city, of course. But recently we had to fight for something called inclusionary zoning ordinance, which the young lady was speaking kind of about a little bit, which is when the buildings go up in the city, we want to make sure that 20% of all of the new buildings have some affordable housing units in it so people could afford to live in these spaces. It was very difficult because a lot of the developers didn't want that. So, and I had to fight with them, and there was a lot of community people that didn't understand it, or some people thought it wasn't enough, some people didn't understand what it would be. So I had to kind of convince people, right, that this is something that we needed to do. And along with that is a lot of big development that's happening that's going to come by the riverfront, the waterfront down there. So I had to have a meeting. It started at 7. I was practicing for something called Dancing with the Blind, right, that I did. And so I was downstairs in City Hall practicing. I had on my T-shirt, my suit pants and shoes because I had a meeting right after that. So I wound up practicing, and the practice got too late. So I had to run upstairs in a meeting and start the meeting and get yelled at and argue back and forth for an hour, and had to stop and say, hold up, I have to go downstairs. There's some kids down there dancing with the blind, but don't get angry. I'll come back and argue with you in about 5 minutes, right? So I went downstairs, did my little routine down there, practiced for another 30, 40 minutes, ran back upstairs, 2 flights, went in there, and I stayed in there and debated with those people till 11 o'clock at night. And it was about 100 people in the room. By the time I got finished with them, it was about 10. So I outlasted most of them, right? Yeah. So we debated and debated and debated until, we finally got the inclusionary zoning ordinance passed by the city council.
So in many cities, I don't know if you've talked about this in your classes, but in many cities, when they get fancy buildings starting, the people that live there have to move because they can't afford it anymore. And our mayor is trying to keep that from happening. So it's a unique initiative and a very welcome one. So thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know that I wish I had been a fly on the wall. And we have one more Where I'm From poem, and that is Sahar.
My name is Sahar, and this is my poem. I'm from Visits to the Library. I'm from Colors, Secondary, and Primary. I'm from hearing protests outside and being scared to speak up for someone else's pride. I'm from painting and freedom, and my great-grandfather, who was full with wisdom. Newark, my city, is full with prayers and junkies and 2 young players. My family grew up down here, and they know us, so we do not live in fear. The end is near, but we are blind because they're playing with our minds. Newark is where the happy roam and the hungry want more. There are so much stores, by the time you're done, your feet are sore. Newark is where my feelings flow and grow, and where the love pierces through my soul. It's kind of like the flu when it flows through my shoes, into my toes and my crown, and to my voice which holds my sound. It's like I found a new me in this great city. Where I'm from, school is important. Where I'm from, we talk about immigrants being deported. We think it's wrong, so we listen to rappers sing their song and we jam while we call each other fam. I'm from my mom not being able to work and my dad living in Virginia, and some of my family members not looking familiar. I'm from my classmate dying of cancer in 3rd grade. Meanwhile, all the memories seem to fade, going through growth spurts, but like Beyonce said, pretty hurts. Where I'm from, crackheads walk the block. Where I'm from, there are girls like pigeons walking in a flock. I'm from struggling to get to the top. I'm from working nonstop, but I'm still here and there's nothing to fear. I'm still getting my education and walking on my own, waiting for graduation while I sing my song. And I'm thinking, whew, and I'm thinking of my Uncle Earl, and boy, was he a glowing pearl. Police brutality brought him down, but to me, he's still around. I call myself a unicorn because I believe that's different. I don't want to be the same. I say I'm fabulous because I believe that's confidence. I don't want to be the same. Newark helped me learn to say my name with the pride that I have inside.
She got bars. She got little bars there. She got bars. She got bars.
Okay, we have two more readings for you, Mr. Mayor. One is, I don't know if Hanifa told you, but we're doing an interdisciplinary unit on Newark throughout the whole school.
Oh, very
And which is one reason why we asked you to come. So some folks from the math class and the social studies class just want to share with you what they're studying in terms of Newark. So let's have the math folks first.
We are very excited and honored to host Mayor Baraka and stand before you today. We are proud to introduce our Newark Math Unit, which has been presented by our math teachers as a way to study Newark, our beautiful city, by quantifying how the city has changed and continues to change.
By starting with Newark topics that interest us, we have developed statistical questions that anticipate variability and can be analyzed and interpreted to present usual findings. Some topics that we are learning to quantify and analyze are housing, population, demographics, crime levels, health development, economic development, resident life, recreation centers, and grocery food options. Here are some statistical questions created by our fellow students.
How many hours per day do students in Newark read? How many police officers did Newark Police hire in each year for the past 30 years? What mode of transportation do Newark residents prefer?
Which stores do Newark residents get their food from? How many recreational centers are available for Newark residents each year in the past 10 years? Do we feel like Newark is improving under its current leadership?
We look forward to continuing our in-depth study.
We want to be able to present our findings to everyone in the end and make the entire city proud. Thank you.
Okay, and the last one is social studies, and then we just have a few more questions. Social studies?
In social studies class, we've been learning a lot about exclusion, absolute location, the Newark Rebellion, and racism. In the beginning of class, our social studies teacher, Mr. Parantoni, asked us a question called a do now. A do now leads up to the main point of the lesson.
Our first topic was racism, with a focus on the incidents that happened in Charlottesville, Virginia. In Charlottesville during the summer, there was a huge clash between the white nationalists and anti-racism groups. The rally held by the white nationalists quickly white nationalist groups quickly erupted into a ball of anger and violence. Unfortunately, it left many people injured and one person dead. The lesson we learned was how taking down a monument, even though it stands for racism, can mean a lot to many people.
Next, we learn about the Lenapes, who were the native people of New Jersey. They lived here longer than any of the European immigrants. The Puritans were excluded from Europe because of their religious beliefs. The irony is that the Puritans, led by Robert Treat, had ended up excluding the Lenapes even though they were once excluded.
We recently learned about absolute location, which is something you need to know to find the latitude and longitude points of a location on Earth. Latitude measures north and south. Longitude measures east and west. This allowed us to learn where the immigrants who moved to Newark came from.
We were told we were going to learn about the Newark Rebellion, which were caused on account of the unfairness and racism in Newark. In the rebellion, it was very hectic, but not as hectic as the news made it seem. The police in Newark couldn't handle the situation alone, so they had to call the National Guard. The National Guard destroyed many stores and homes. They even killed people.
These are the topics we have learned so far, and looking forward to learning more.
Okay, Ms. Rogers?
Okay, Keelan? Keelan Jordan would like to ask you a question.
If there was one thing that you could change about the police, what would that be?
The amount of money we have to pay them when they retire. Well, I think that we're doing that. So the thing that we want to deal with in terms of the police in our city is to make sure they have a better relationship with the people in the community, that they feel like the neighborhoods that they're policing are neighborhoods, and a lot of them are from those neighborhoods, that the neighborhoods that they police are a part of their community, a part of their family. We want them to feel that their job is to protect the residents and not just occupy the city. And I think that's happening, it's working.
And Batia?
What made you want to coach girls basketball before you became principal?
I actually coached girls and boys basketball at the same time. When I was at Warren Street School, there was no basketball coach, and there was a couple of kids that were very good. I wound up coaching girls and boys simultaneously, but you know, when you coach elementary school, they don't give you a lot of props for that, right? But I coached elementary school basketball. We actually won a championship. The boys won a championship. Then I coached high school girls basketball at Central. And then I coached boys basketball at University High School. So I coached for a long time, and I became a coach based on happenstance and actually got good at it. And so I continued to coach. And coaching is like teaching. So it was almost kind of second nature to me to be able to teach people skills that I probably didn't even have. But it was good, and I became almost addicted to coaching. And, you know, I finished, before I became a principal, I coached all the way up until I became a principal.
Okay, I'd like to ask Idris to ask his question. Please stand.
Do you feel that you have more of an impact on Newark being as a mayor or as a teacher?
Wow. I think about that all the time, brother. Trust me. I think that as the mayor, I have a larger impact than I could. It's almost like when I was the principal at a school called Hawthorne Avenue School. I was a principal there for like 6 months, and the superintendent came to me at the end of the year because I went there as the year already started. Came to me, she said, "Have a seat." I sat down. She was like, "I need you to do something," and I was like, "What is that?" She said, "I need you to become the principal of Central High School." And I was like, "I just got here," I was like, "I've just started these relationships with these families and so forth and so on." And she said, "Well, you're concerned about 300,000 kids. I'm concerned about 30,000, right, or 40,000." And she said, "I have to do what's best for the entire district, not just the 300 kids that you love here at this school. So I had to swallow that and march on over to Central High School the next year. But I understood it, and that's the kind of perspective I have about the entire city, right? So I have a larger kind of impact on more people than I would have as the principal of a school. So yes.
And Aminata, could you ask your question, please?
Could the city create a small shop or workplace for the homeless?
Could they do what? I'm sorry.
Could they create a small shop or a workplace for the homeless?
Yes, we could. Actually, we have a homeless commission that is in a process now of developing a 24-hour shelter and designing transitional living homes out of containers that you see if you drive on 78 or 109 or New Jersey Turnpike, you see these huge containers that they ship on boats. And we got this idea from some students at Central High School who got together with a company called Gengoli, and they developed what they call off-the-grid housing. So they developed these kind of container homes where they don't need PSE&G, and you don't have a water bill. And they did it with solar-powered panels, and they envisioned this and created it with an engineering company, and it's actually working. And we're going to adopt that, the first city to adopt those kids' idea and turn it into transitional living. So in addition to that would be to create opportunities for folks to make money by creating a retail space. I'm going to bring it to them. What's your name, ma'am? Aminata. I'm going to say I got it from Aminata at Discovery Charter School. All right. I'm serious. You ready?
Johnson?
What inspired you to become Newark's mayor?
Well, I was always involved in activism, but you know, it turned into politics when I began trying to get things for young people in my school, in my area, and it got a little difficult. So, you know, I began to kind of politic, if you will, to get the things that I needed for my class, my school, my students, and I ran for office in 1994 when I first got out of college for mayor. I was 24 years old when I ran for office, right? And since then, I've been involved in running and pushing. So this is almost like something I feel like I'm supposed to do at this point. So when I wake up and I sleep and all the things that I do, eat, think, is always about the city of Newark and how to advance it and imagination and ideas about how to create a better place for all of us. And that's the kind of inspiration I have to be the mayor of this town. Once that goes away, once I don't feel excited about this anymore, then it's time for me to do something else, right? Because I need to have that excitement and encouragement to deal with all of the difficulties that come with it.
Thank you. That's it? Yeah.
One more? Yeah, one more. Where are you? Right there? I don't see him? Okay, well, we're going to go up. I'm going to climb on the stage. Where is, do you have your question, honey? Yes.
What would you change about the Newark education system?
A lot. A whole lot, trust me. That's a long conversation that we don't really have a lot of time to talk about. But I just think that the school system is a small kind of example of how the world is, right? How the community is. So our schools are segregated by both race and class because the world is segregated that way, right? And so obviously that's a problem for me. But ultimately, I think the real segregation is in opportunity, right? So one of the things that I would love to change about what's happening in the school system here in Newark is the access to curriculum. Like the things that we offer our kids are incredibly different than the things that other kids are offered, right? So if you go to other schools, and I've had the pleasure to travel to go to other schools and other places in other states and even countries, to see what kids are offered or what they're asked to do. And we always ask to do things that are smaller than what everybody else is asked to do because the initial idea is that we don't know, right? We always operate from the point that we can't do it, we don't know it, so we're not offered it, right? And people usually give us work based on the fact that they think we don't know. So we do the same work over and over and over and over again, and we get the same results and the same growth, and then we fight with each other about the growth that the kids don't have, but we never even introduce them to anything different, right? And I think that that is really what the fundamental problem is, right? I went to some high schools, they offer up so many different courses and so many different opportunities for kids to take all kinds of things. Classes that, if you go to like Pingree, they have a class called Magical Realism or, you know, novels, or where you just, you pick novels and read those novels. And here you have English 1, English 2, English 3, and English 4, right? And if you fail English 1, you have to take English 1 again. If you fail it, you have to take English 1 again. But there are some schools, if you don't pass English 1, you get to take an American literature course. If you don't pass the American literature course, you get to take another course that's centered around literature and writing, because the idea is to teach you the skills. How you teach the person the skills is arguable. I could teach you how to read and write through reading the Constitution, or how we learned how to read and write when we were slaves is by the Bible. We learned how to read and write by reading the Bible. So if I could teach you how to read and write by using the Bible, then there's a whole bunch of opportunities that I can give you in advance. And I think that we pigeonhole or put our kids in a box in places like this. And in my city, where kids can't experience the incredible things that's going on in the world. That's why the only thing that we know is what's boxed in around us all of the time. Reading to me was incredible because I get to travel without leaving this spot. And I learned that, right? I don't know the whole world. I can't get there. And I'm writing about stuff that I see, but there's also things that I see in my mind, and how do I excite my mind to see beyond my circumstance, right? And so I have to read and study and learn, and I have to have somebody to give that to me. Thank God for my mother and father who gave me access to the world, because I couldn't have got access to the world simply by the books that I was getting in my schools.
Okay, are there any more questions?
2 quick ones.
Okay.
All right, we'll be quick. Abdulia?
How do you handle all the pressure being the mayor?
Prayer and push-ups, honestly. So, you know, I pray every morning. And they might not be able could tell you that in school, but I'm the mayor, I can say what I want to say. Right, so I pray every morning. I have to. I mean, in the days when I oversleep and I can't do it, I feel awful. So that helps me, and working out. So it gives me the kind of physical and spiritual energy and strength that I need to get through anything that I need to get through. I can't feel sluggish or down or depressed. And when I don't work out, I feel that way. When I don't do physical activity, I feel that way, right? And when I don't pray, I'm usually more afraid than the days when I did pray.
I'm going to take that advice.
Don't forget the push-ups now.
And this is Jason.
What does it take to become the mayor?
Wow. So legally, all you have to be is 18 years old, over 18, and a resident of this community, and you can run for mayor. That's what it takes legally for you to run. But in order for you to be the mayor, like to be a mayor, you have to develop your ability to lead, right? Your leadership ability, and in my mind, you have to be a student of politics and a student of the community and people. You have to be a student. So the best leaders to me are even better followers, right? And it's important for us to establish, as a mayor, as a political leader, a voice that can relate to and speak to any crowd, right? And so that takes a lot. And so I would tell you that if you're interested in being a mayor, and you should be, you can have my job. You just come on and run for office. If you're interested in being mayor or any elected position or any leadership position, I would say work on your ability to lead and be in the front. You know, that's what you have to do. Just work on that. Work on your ability to communicate with people, to lead, and do things that other people are not willing to do.
Was there one more question up here, and then we're going to wrap up, I think.
What are your plans as the mayor to stop crime in New York?
In New York, you said?
Newark.
Oh, Newark. Okay. So I say, dog, man, you gave me a hard job. So there's a series of ways, right? So there's immediate and then long term. So the long term is that we have to create more jobs, more opportunity for young people in this community. We have to improve our schools, create jobs, get kids to choose work and school and career as opposed to a pipeline that leads them to prison and the streets and negativity. You have to create a space like that so kids have opportunity, like all communities have opportunity. When you have opportunity, I believe you make better decisions. And if you're more informed, you also make better decisions, right? And so it's important for schools and the growth of jobs in our community and encourage people to start their own businesses and be creative. So we have to do those things, and that's what we're working on. From Hire, Buy, Live, trying to get the corporations to hire more residents, invest in Newark businesses, right, to creating housing opportunities that look different, to change the environment in the city. All of that is important. And then secondly, we have to create a kind of criminal justice system that's fair, right? And what I mean by that is that we have to make sure that we have visibility of police officers in our neighborhood, that they're working hard with the community, and when people make a mistake and they're put in a system, that we find a way to actually rehabilitate those people and bring them back to our community so they could be a positive part of the community as opposed to a negative part. Because one thing I've learned is when people go to jail, 90% of them don't stay there forever, right? So they go to jail and they return home. And if they have no skills or less skills than they had from when they went to jail, they create a bigger problem in our community. Our job is to make sure that they come back to our society and are able to contribute to it in a better way than when they left it, right? And so all of those things are part of it. We have to have a strong kind of policing and visibility of police, rehabilitation for prisoners that are coming home. And we have to create what I call, instead of re-entry, pre-entry, which is the creation of jobs, opportunity, and growth in your community for the residents that are here.
Well, let's give a big hand for our mayor. And I know I'm speaking on behalf of all the staff and students here, Mr. Mayor. Again, if you ever need any help, we're right here to help you out.
Thank you. Some great poems up here, too.
Yes, yes.
Big up to the English teachers here, doing a great job.
Okay, so if you teach, that's pretty much everybody here teach writing and reading, so let's give a big hands for our teachers.